I would like to say this mirror has been dirty for at least 5 years. I cleaned it for you guys. I hope that's enough for you to love me. That's all I had. Have you ever wanted to be like Ashley from Best Dressed? I know you have, because I have, and you're all like me. But you're probably wondering why a girl that looks like a 12-year-old that's going to Coachella is asking you why you need to be like Ashley Best Dressed. And to that question, I tell you, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here trying to convince you to be like her, because you should already be convinced she's amazing. But I'm here to show you what I did to get this dress. I don't know if any of you have seen the Jackson Mini dress from For 11 Lemons, but it's honestly the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I wanted to buy it. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't want to buy it because it was like really expensive, so I just made it. I would like to preface this by saying that this is definitely not a tutorial. This is just you seeing me make something. I don't know how to teach people, and this is definitely not like a teaching video. But I guess you could learn from it if you are like paying enough attention. That sounds so condescending. I felt like if there was ever time for me to record something I've made, it was this time, because I felt like this dress really challenged me, honestly, and really forced me to like really think about things. I feel like this one, because it wasn't like my own design, so like I didn't already know how to make it. I was like really evaluating like what the dress was, like how it was made, and like looking at different people wearing it and seeing like how this was doing, what this was doing. This challenged me because I was trying to like recreate an entirely different thing and not just like make something of my own where I already know what I'm doing. Since this was a challenge for me and I'm also learning myself, I hope you can learn from my mistakes and also maybe take some stuff away from this yourself. Maybe. I don't know. This was kind of roller coaster for me, and I got really tired at the end. So if you see more and more of my face at the end, it's because I didn't record it because I didn't feel like it. So do what you will with the information. But let's get started. So to start off, I have a mannequin. She is not a mannequin that's meant for draping things or sewing. If anything, she's meant to sit in a boutique and be pretty. She sits in my room and is pretty, but she also gets used for things she's not meant for, like draping. So on the dress has these two little like elastic things that go like underneath the boob and then right around the waist. So what I did was I taped where I thought I wanted the like boob like cup part to under. I taped where I thought the cup part wanted. Oh my god! I taped where I wanted the under boob elastic to go, and then the straight elastic at the bottom. And once I did that, I took I have like all this scrap fabric, and I took it and I just slapped it on top, and I traced where each tape thing was. And the width of my tape was about the width of my elastic. So I literally just traced on the top and bottom of the tape, so that way I knew exactly where like the full case was gonna be. So I took that off the mannequin, I traced the line and just filled in where the dart used to be. From there I cut it into I think 4 pieces. I cut it up into slices and I spread out the slices onto another piece of fabric and taped it down, and then retraced where the empty spaces that I made were, so that way it would be technically bigger, but also it would also still follow the shape that I wanted. So when I gather this back up, it'll gather back up to where I want it to be. From there, I attempted to try to like gather it up and like put it back on the mannequin, see if it worked. But because there's like so much tape and so much fabric, it just like it wasn't gonna gather through like all of that thickness. So I just trusted the Lord and I just cut out the pieces and prayed. So when I cut it out, I cut 2 of the same piece. So like one bodice would be like 1 piece. I cut 2 of them, and I sewed the front and back to each other, and then now I should have 2 bodice pieces. So I smacked them together. I already traced where like the boob elastic and the other elastic should go. When I sewed the pieces together, I like just sewed on the lines that I made. So now I should have 2 full casings on 1 full bodice piece. We're standing now. So we have the bodice now. The elastic has been shoved inside. There's technically a boob tube. I tried it on. It fit all right. But I was noticing problems. The boob wasn't sitting right. Where the apex of the curve, it was like apexing somewhere else, and I didn't like that. And honestly, it probably could have been solved with like some movement of the elastic. My brain was just like, move the whole bodice. So I adjusted the bodice to where it would, in the back, there would be more on one side and less on the other. So I would cut it down to be the same length and then put a zipper in. But for most of this video, you're going to see the fat chunk in the back. From there, I made the sleeves. I literally looked at this dress like 47 times because I thought the sleeves were elastic, but the sleeves weren't elastic. They were just like straight up just things hold, like your shoulders were holding them up by themselves. Like usually when they do sleeves like that, they have elastic on it, so that way there's elastic holding it to you, but it's just like it's going based on, it's basically hoping your shoulders fit inside. So I used my mannequin to fit the sleeve. When you make, like, I know how to make a sleeve, I know how to draft a sleeve, I know how to pattern a sleeve, but I will never ever 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 do it right on purpose because it takes so much time. I just draw shapes and hope they work. Also, because it's like a poofy sleeve, you can get away with a lot more. Sleeves are meant to have a very specific shape, like it's supposed to be like two straight edges that curve up and down. But because this one didn't have like a shoulder seam to attach to, and it was going to be attaching directly into the shirt itself, I felt like I could just like draw like a smoother, like round shape that was just very large and could gather right at my shoulder. It worked out fine, but I would not suggest that. As far as like gathering, I put it on the mannequin and I gathered it up and I just kept adjusting until I felt like it was tight enough, like it wasn't just like sitting, like it was actually like really held on tight, and if I wore it, it wouldn't like keep falling off my shoulder. And then I attached the bottom half to the bodice. I marked on the mannequin where I thought, or where I saw on the dress where the sleeves were sitting. It was kind of like a little more in, on the back a little more in. So I just like marked on the dress where it was and on the mannequin. And then I pinned the sleeves to it on the mannequin and just set it up like that. As far as like finishing off like the neckline, it kind of just comprised of ruffles and then a bias binding over the ruffles so it looks pretty and like really well done. So for mine, I measured how much it was across from the chest and how much it was from like shoulders, from like this point where it meets the chest to the back of where the zipper would close. And I measured how much that would be, and then I doubled it and cut out that amount. I ruffled up, I think like a 1 inch or 2 inch piece of fabric, and I gathered it up with like a loose stitch. To gather it, I set my stitch to the highest, like the widest stitch you can go, and the loosest setting possible, so that way when you pull it, the stitch is basically just like useless, and then it gathers up the fabric. So I don't have a picture of it or a video. This is why you should look at another video. You gather up the fabric, or I gathered up the fabric, and I pinned it to the dress where I thought it would sit first, and I zigzag stitched it across the neckline and also on the armholes. Once I felt like it looked good, I cut out some strips of fabric to make a bias binding. I just measured, once again, tried to measure the front and the back. And I measured the front first and cut out that strip and sewed that on. How you make a bias binding is you take a piece of fabric, you fold both edges inside, iron it, and then fold it in half, and you iron that, and then you sew it on top of a seam, and you sew on top of that, and it looks finished, and it looks well done, and it's really beautiful, and I love it. I sewed that on, and now the top looks like a finished top. Like I could wear it. No, I couldn't wear it. Well, I might have. If I finished the edges, it could have been a nice cute blouse, you know. I added elastic to the sleeves. I think the dress has like arm ties, like it has little stripes that you tie up on the sleeves. That's like cute or whatever, but like it wasn't necessarily because it was hard, because like I also didn't want to make straps, that takes a long time. But personally, I felt like it would be annoying for me to have to like tie those every day, and also I just enjoy elastic sleeves in my poofy sleeve tops because I feel like it'll naturally stay easier. And with a like tie sleeve, it has more potential for falling down or untying, just overall being kind of like a hassle. So like I just did elastic. I just folded the like an eighth of the edge in, and then folded the whole edge over about a fourth and maybe 5/8. I'll say 5/8. So that way the elastic could fit in, and also hide the raw edge. So that way when you look inside the sleeve, you don't see anything fraying, and it's just like a nice smooth edge and elastic's inside. So I was looking at the dress, and the way the dress was made, it had a ruffle coming out from the top, but also the ruffle was going in the same direction as the dress, and I did not know how I was going to do that because I didn't, because I feel like the only way I could do that to make the ruffle go down is if I top stitch the top. And since it's not a flat piece of fabric and it's ruffled, if I top stitch it down, you're going to see it, it's going to look bad, and I don't want that. So here's what I did. First of all, before we start on the ruffle at all, I guess, I forgot, there's a whole skirt attached to it too. The skirt, I was also kind of confused about, because I was like, how am I going to make this skirt? I feel like I make such convoluted things sometimes that like things like a skirt confuse me. So what I did was I measured the biggest part of my legs, which is my butt, and I added 5 inches to it. I wish I added 10 because it would have been a little more like floofy, a little more like prairie girlish. I still like how this came out, but if you're gonna do it, I would add a bit more if you want it to be more like flowing out, because this is just like, it's just kind of like meh. And I took a thick piece of elastic and measured around my waist to see how tight I wanted it to be, and I took that and I pinned it to one end of the skirt to the other edge of the skirt. And from there, my thought process was like, I will stretch it and zigzag stitch around, and that will gather the skirt and also still give me the elastic that I still have in the dress and also the skirt, so that when I try it on, I can still like breathe and it's not like suffocating me if I like eat something besides ice. So I put the elastic on, I stretched and pulled it all the way into the end, and I had this like cute little gathered skirt. Also, by the way, I don't remember how long I made the skirt. I think it was like 20 inches. I just like measured from where the skirt started to like where I thought I wanted to be. I know it's like a mini dress. Mini dress doesn't really work on me. My butt, she doesn't like it. And you can see her if I wear like actual mini dresses. So I made it like a little bit longer. So it's not exactly like a mini dress, but like I'm gonna wear the heck out of this. So like I don't care that it's not a mini dress. Maybe it is for some people. It doesn't really seem like it to me. And so the thought process for how I was going to get the ruffle to lay down, also making sure that the elastic doesn't like force anything in a weird way, was I took the dress, I sandwiched the ruffle inside the blouse and the dress, and I sewed it down that way. And once it was in, the elastic kind of wanted to like sit up. So since the elastic was so big, I just flipped it up inside of the shirt, and I just kind of like tucked it inside. And since it just sits like that normally, no one can tell that like there's a fat elastic inside. And since it sits up like that, it forces the ruffle down. I don't know if you understood that or not, because I didn't, and I'm the one that did it, and I don't even know if I'm explaining this correctly, but it feels right. Once again, this is not a tutorial. This is just me telling you what I did, and if you want to follow along, you do it. You go ahead and do it. But I'm not guaranteeing you're going to get a quality result. The dress is like coming together. All we need is a ruffle in the zipper. The bottom skirt has 2 ruffles on it. It has a short ruffle and a long ruffle. It's time for lunch apparently. But it has a long ruffle and a short ruffle. So the Jackson mini dress is made up of 2 fabrics, made up of like just a plain white cotton and like a cotton eyelet that is actually like really cute and adds a little more like depth or something. Like I don't know, it gives a little like zest, and just making it just like a little cute little white dress has a little something extra to it, you know. All I have is this dog print dress. So some of the details that it has that are made of the eyelet material, I do not have. Like the dress is supposed to have like the contrast. That's what I was looking for, the contrast of the eyelet and cotton on the bottom of the skirt, with the eyelet on top and regular on the bottom. But since I don't have that, it's just 2 of the same fabric ruffled together and smacked onto the bottom. So I just ruffled like a short fabric and one that's like I think an inch longer on the bottom. I ruffled those together, sewed them together first, and then I sewed it to the dress. And once again, I just measured the width of the bottom of the dress, which should be about 45 inches for me at least. And then I just doubled it, which is 90. And I ruffled 90 inches of 2 pieces of fabric. That's 180 inches of fabric. And I ruffled that much. And I sewed that much. And I pinned it to the bottom of the skirt and I sewed it together. So now we have a dress. At this point, we just put the zipper in. Since this has so much ruffles in it, it was easier to like hide the zipper. So what I did was, instead of pinning the zipper directly to the edge of the coil like you would usually do, you pin it a little, you would fold it over, pin it a little bit over until it like kind of touches the edge of the other side of the other fabric you'd also be pinning, so they would meet together in the middle. And when you sewed it on, you have to make sure you don't sew the coil, because if you sew the coil, then you cannot get in your dress. I thought it was gonna be hard. It's actually like pretty easy, because naturally your zipper foot, or even if you're using a regular foot, because you could also do that too, considering this is very haphazard. So if you're using a regular foot, because I know a lot of people don't have zipper foots, I don't have a zipper foot, and what I would suggest is if you're using a regular foot, just like make sure when you start sewing, make sure it's hitting, like pretend this is the zipper and this is the foot. Make sure it's sitting up against the zipper, because it naturally will, and it's not gonna like ride up unless you're like forcing it to, because the zipper is pretty big. So like you should be able to like just like match it up nicely and just like keep going straight all the way down, and it should be okay. There's probably gonna be about 1/4 of an inch space between the zipper and the stitch, and that's good, because either way there's gonna be something overlapping over that anyway, so it's not gonna matter, and it still look pretty. And since this has so many ruffles, no one can tell. So I sewed the zipper on and it was done. It was done. There was some little itty bitty details I had to do. I had to cut off a lot of strings, because I am the queen of never cutting off a single thread in my life ever. And also, as far as like the bias binding meeting on the chest and the shoulder, in the picture like meets perfectly at a corner. So like I just seam ripped it open and then sewed it down together and pulled in a little bit just to make sure that it was so feeling pretty like tight on my shoulder. So I did that to make sure it stayed pretty well. I did some adjusting with the elastic to make sure it's like sits good on the boobies. Other than that, it's done. I'm very proud of this dress. Like I think it looks really, really nice. And I've never made anything like it before in my life. But I spent 3 days on it, so I would like you to see the finished product, because I'm so proud.
Look up, my darling, you're not alone. Pick up the phone, you're always home, you're always on my line. Yeah. You're always on my mind. Consider the birds, consider the bees, consider the trees, they don't worry, so I don't worry, I won't worry at all, I won't worry, no.
Thank you for watching. If you want to see more thrift flips and upcycles like this, let me know, because I'd be more than willing to make more things that Ashley wears, because we all want to be like Ashley. I sound terrifying, but let me know if you guys want to see more stuff like this from me. I'll probably just be using this to like make more thrift flips on this account. My senior year is coming, and this is like the main summer before I'm about to like die for my last year of college, so I really want to use this time to make things that I genuinely enjoy. Not saying like senior I'm not going to, but like this is the one time I can like really make stuff that like I'm gonna like wear outside my house and feel proud of. But thank you for watching. I really enjoyed making this, and I'll try to make some more later. Bye.